that's it. So all week I've been talking about chord voicings, chord shapes, chord progressions, and this Saturday I am of course teaching my minor blues chord substitutions workshop. And if you've been thinking about signing up for that workshop but been intimidated by seeing all those chord shapes go flying by, what I want to explain in this video is that I've been doing just about everything this week with just 5 chord shapes. And so that's less chord shapes than you might use playing open position chords. And if you just get comfortable with these 5 shapes, then you're past the physical barrier of what you need to know how to play, and you're into just, well, how do I put those shapes together to do cool stuff? So in this video, I just want to show you what those 5 chord shapes are so you can start wrapping your hands around them and figuring out if that's something you might want to know more about. So first, I'm just going to show you these 5 shapes, and then I'll backtrack a little and explain like how I'm fingering them and what they're for. But the 5 shapes look like this. Here's the first one. In this case, I'm playing in the key of A minor. I'm using this for my 1 chord, and I'm playing an A minor 6 with my middle finger on the low string at the 5th fret, index finger on the 4th fret of the 4th string, and ring finger on the 5th fret of the 3rd string. So there's the first shape. The next shape, I'm going to use this here to play a B minor 7 chord. I'm using, again, middle finger on the low string, now at the 7th fret, ring finger on the 7th fret of the 4th string, and pinky on the 7th fret of the 3rd string. So that's making a, in this case, B minor 7 shape. But so this is working as a minor 6 chord, this is working as a minor 7 chord. If I go up here, now I've got middle finger on the 8th fret of the low string, index finger on the 7th fret of the 4th string, and pinky on the 9th fret of the 3rd string. This can do a couple different things. This can be either a C major 6 chord with the root, 6th, and 3rd, but since I'm thinking right now about playing an A minor, this is also an A minor chord with the 3rd and the bass. Here's the 3rd, the root, and the 5th of A minor. So that's 3 shapes. And the last 2 are both used for dominant 7th chords. Back to A, we can make an A7 chord using index on the 5th fret, 6th string, middle finger on the 5th fret of the 4th string, and pinky on the 6th fret of the 3rd string. There's an A7. And then we can slide up, and we can use ring finger on the 9th fret of the low string, index on the 7th fret of the 4th string, and pinky on the 9th fret of the 3rd string. Now we have an A major chord with the 3rd and the bass. Here's the 3rd and root and 5th of A. So those 5 shapes, that's it. Now, the trick is, some of these shapes do more than one thing. Mostly this shape. Right now, I'm thinking of this as A minor 6. But if I slide it up 2 frets, now, if I'm still in the key of A minor, this is working as an E7 chord. Here's the 5th, here's the 3rd, here's the flat 7. And in some situations, especially minor blues situations, I might play it here and use it as a kind of E flat 7 chord. And all of these chords are going to interact with each other. Like if I'm thinking that this is A minor 6 and this is A minor with the 3rd and the bass, I might connect them up by passing from 1 to 5, back to 1 with the 3rd and the bass, and back to 5. But it's just those same shapes over and over again. And if I wanted to go to the 4 chord and make the 4 chord minor, there it is right there. Same shape. Now it's D minor 6. Back to A minor, to E7, to A minor again. Or if I'm climbing on my way up, maybe play A minor to E7, to A minor, to A major, measure, which is going to take me to that 4 chord. So there's a lot of different ways that these chords get used, but the point is there are not a lot of shapes. So the idea in the workshop is we're going to take these basic shapes and mostly learn about how to use them as the basis for putting your comping together, starting with just 1, 4, and 5, and then looking at how to connect up 1, 4, and 5 to each other, and how every chord that's in a comping pattern has a reason for being there. And that's really the part that makes the difference between just learning a bunch of shapes and learning what to do with those shapes. Learning chord shapes is kind of like learning scales, and you kind of need to learn the licks that make the scales come alive. It's the same thing with chords. If you learn this shape, and this shape, and this shape, and this shape, that's great. But it's knowing why it works to connect one to the next, to lead you somewhere, and then to connect them in a different way to take you back. So these sequences of chords are designed to go places. They don't just sit on their own, doing their own thing. They're usually part of taking you somewhere. So they're almost like chord licks in a sense, in that as you start to play them, if you put them together the right way, they will take you to the next big landing point, either from the beginning of one line to the end of the line, or from the end of the line around to the beginning of the next line, and they'll have this sense of motion. So the fact that there's only 5 shapes is great, because once you get those 5 shapes to where you can grab them as easily as you can grab an open position chord, you can start to use them in this resolving chord lick kind of way. And if you build up a vocabulary of those moves, that's what's going on when you see someone just whipping around the neck playing a whole sequence of chords. It's not that they're doing anything particularly extraordinary. It's that they've put together and practiced all these different kinds of sequential moves, and know that wherever they are in the chord progression, they have these different paths laid out in front of them that will take them from where they are to where they want to get to. Just like a good soloist knows that if they're on the 4 chord and they play a certain kind of lick, that lick will land them back on the 1 chord. So that's the approach I'm going to walk you through this weekend in the workshop, taking just a handful of shapes, looking at how to get that Freddie Green strum and how to get those chords under your fingers, and then exploring how to start from just the bones of a tune, just the 1, 4, and 5 of a 12 or 8 bar blues, and how to slowly build it up with a series of moves so that you understand each new move that you're adding into the chord progression, and getting a whole bunch of vocabulary for how to work your way through a tune multiple ways so that you can start to have that kind of flexibility and fluidity when you do your comping. Again, it takes place tomorrow, Saturday, and if you want to sign up, just go to the link below or the link on screen. I'd love to see you there. And in the meantime, if you got a question or a comment about today's video, please leave it down below. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.